Welcome back to Media Week, our special year in review program. Of course, history was made in TV in 2013 as the analogue signal was switched off to make way for digital. Of course, the ratings and the content and the outlook for the advertising market is, I guess, the key. Let's get some analysis. Of course, we've got our co-host James Manning from Media Week here with us, and also joining us now to talk through the trends and what were the highlights of the year gone and the year coming. Mel Hay, head of TV at OMD. Thanks for coming on the show. Well, we just thought we'd have a look through the wrap-up of the ratings year just finished. We're going to look at the free-to-air... Yeah, the most-watched programs on free-to-air first, so the top 10 most-watched shows. And, of course, really, My Kitchen Rules there, most-watched show.
Big reality franchises, probably no surprises there, is there? My Kitchen Rules, The Block, up there, 2 episodes of The Block, both did pretty well for 9, didn't they?
Sky High,
yep.
the second one.
Yep.
And of course the sport always too a big winner.
State of Origin, Grand Final, it's always up there at the top.
It's all Australian content as well, which is key. There's nothing from any other country.
That's the key theme, isn't it? And the X Factor, The Voice, the big battle there between the two shows, the X Factor just winning out over The Voice.
For that final winner announcement, but I think both shows did. But the X Factor probably had a bit of a better year, didn't it? Than
year on year it was up, whereas The Voice was down year on year. But sort of probably if you averaged out the numbers, they were pretty close.
The big advertiser had to be there.
Yeah, definitely. Also because it had so many hours on each week for both of them.
Yes.
They covered a lot.
And just to clarify, this we're looking at is total people.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Let's have a look too at the channel shares as they ended up for free to air at the end of the year. And of course, the interesting here was the battle obviously for the top between 7 and 9.
Very close.
Yeah, 7 had the edge. They've still got the edge in the share of ads, but it's not a lot separating 7 and 9 there. It's mainly those Perth and Adelaide markers. Is that the difference, that couple of percentage points? Or
I think that makes a difference. Yeah, it'll be interesting next year because that's where 7 obviously is very dominant in Perth. But on total people, I think they will remain there. It'll be in those demos. That'll be interesting.
And of course, 10, the total share below the ABC.
Well, their core target is total people, so I don't think
so. It's not that significant, is it?
Right. Okay.
But it's still not a good look, is it?
No, it's not. They wouldn't be happy with that position, no.
And let's have a look too at the ratings for subscription TV. The top 5 sports shows there, Socceroos obviously, and World Cup next year, of course.
Some big numbers there. It was up over 500,000, I think, and the rest of these other shows are up around about 400,000, which are pretty good numbers for subscription TV.
Very good numbers. Yeah. Sport's always strong on subscription. Foxtel, that's where their numbers are.
And Lifestyle Channel, wow. I mean, looking at the top 5 non-sport as well for the year, they're selling houses.
Yeah, that's because it's all Australian content. They're developing so many shows for that channel, which is actually lifting their ratings and really proving successful.
So free-to-air given Lifestyle a bit of a run by not sort of going into that market too much. I think it'll change a bit next year. I think they're wanting to do even more, but they've let sort of Lifestyle specialise in some of that real estate stuff particularly, haven't they? Yeah,
in the real estate section, but I guess renovation's big on free-to-air, and that's their lifestyle area that they're focused on.
Yeah.
And you've still got Better Homes and Gardens in there.
They haven't got away another successful franchise in that space this year.
Yeah.
I think they've got another one they're going to test next year, another auction program. Yes. The other market's going off, so we'll probably see a bit that. They'll probably get it right when the real estate market dies, and then.
At the moment, it's going gangbusters in Sydney, so it helps.
Absolutely.
Of course, with Foxtel too, I mean, it's been a massive year of change, and then next year we've got IQ3 coming, the playback, the triple play as well now too. So 2014.
A couple of new channels at TV Hits replacing TV1. It's a bit hard to believe they're letting their biggest channel walk out the door, but you can understand the ownership behind that. They want to control that. It'll be a very similar offering, I think. And then mid-year, the BBC First, which could be a bit of a game changer, couldn't it?
Yes,
a lot of people, if they want to see their BBC programs, it's the only place to see them.
I think it's like Soho, like that channel's sort of a silent caller there with such great content, and I think that channel will be the same with the BBC content.
Yeah. Does triple play, really change things too, do you think, for Foxtel?
I think I just don't believe they're actually going to do it. I think it'll be some watered-down triple play where it might be online only, and it won't be if you're a cable subscriber. You know, I just don't think it'll be a full-blown discount, which I think they've got to do to make the difference.
Well, yeah, I don't think they will, but I think they're going to have to keep growing that subscriber base. So that's going to be key for them, because at the moment the barrier is the cost. So to be able to get more people in, which is the aim. I think I've heard someone quote they want to get sort of 50% penetration where they're at sort of 30, so, and the cost is the barrier.
It's a big jump. Yeah, it's either cost or exclusive content,
Yes.
and they can't get that sport because no one's ever going to give them the AFL exclusively. It's suicide for the politicians, so they've really got to attack the other thing, which is the price, isn't it?
Yeah.
Price point.
Of course, anti-siphoning, that's been, one of those.
That's not going to change. There's no way that'll change.
I'm sure we'll talk about it a lot next year. But the upshot will be, no.
Yeah. So I guess coming back to the key themes, local content for you, was that just the huge popularity of it?
Definitely.
That was it for 2013?
Drives all the numbers. You saw in the top 5 or top 10 programs, they just dominate the local content and that big reality, free to air. That's what people want to see.
And the drama was interesting. We're seeing in those consolidated figures the growing importance of time-shifted viewing, isn't it? You know, even though those stats still say, was it above 90% of TV viewing is still live, but it is becoming important, especially for key dramas and stuff.
Depends on the drama, because the local dramas, the time shifted isn't as much. Like A Place to Call Home, which is Seven's new offering, did fantastic numbers and there wasn't as much time shifted. But if you went to a Revenge, which is still good numbers, but the time shifted was actually over 10% there. It was like 15%. So it does impact on the
Tell me, the attraction for advertisers, do you still prefer the big live hit? That's what you... I mean, catch-up's nice, but you'd still prefer the live viewing.
The big numbers and the live viewing. That's sort of, they're there, they're watching it.
And if it's a time-sensitive message that gets out, it's retailers on sale or it's an offering, it's all right. Okay, we'll get a few viewers a week later, but we'd rather them straight away.
Yeah, definitely. If it's a brand advertising campaign and it's in the right sort of environment for dramas, time shift is not so bad, so they're watching it still within. It's important, but yeah, most of the time we want those live numbers to make the impact, because that's when the impact is. Watching the live viewing.
Yes, yeah.
In terms of the ad market, I mean, we've heard a lot. We heard David Gingell from Nine just speaking about that earlier, saying that, it's been a tough 3 years, but it seems like there's, the economy's getting back, that's going to help. What's your sort of predictions, do you think, you forecast for next year?
We're sort of predicting, looking at slight increases on year, not sort of massive. There'll be certain areas that are increasing, because this year they had big increases in travel and gambling. So next year, they're probably, with the sensitivity around gambling, that's probably not going to grow as much as what it did this year. But you'll have other areas hopefully growing, because bank and cars this year are up slightly, so if they maintain, and FMCG, they haven't grown anything this year, but they've sort of been flat, whereas the previous years they've had some drops. So next year, let's hope they also remain flat. It's what we're hearing as well.
Have you done any modelling on where you think the TV ratings might be next year? I've seen you at some of the upfronts. I'm sure you've had some closed-door briefings too that people like me don't get into. So what's your sort of feel there?
I think we saw losses across the board this year in audience, and yes, it was predominantly on 10, but I think they've found a consistency now, and I think there will be probably some drop-off again next year, just with time-shifted viewing and the way the networks are looking at potentially streaming and IPTV and HBB TV. So I think the way of people viewing is going to change, and that live viewing number, I think, will probably drop again.
Under pressure,
yes, definitely next year.
We're hearing, obviously, now the analogue signal switched off. What do you think? I mean, is it going to be tempting for CEOs now to want to turn their digital channels into prime major channels?
I would have thought so. That's where, especially in the HD area, or turning up what they used to call main channel, which is now digital, making it more HD, because the viewing experience, especially on sport, you saw the numbers on Gem for the cricket, and the 7-2's been doing really well with the horse racing, and they also have the AFL in Sydney there, so the HD makes a difference, I think. So I do think there'll be some movement around there.
Yeah, it's just, I can imagine, the guys at 7 or the guys at 9 sitting around the boardroom going, look, we'd like our multi-channels to knock off 10, what they have the potential to do that,
I think they're all still focused on the main channel.
Yeah,
though.
They are keeping that business model, aren't they?
Yes,
but do you think that'll change, or they want to keep that for as long as they'll hold on to that model?
Yeah, I think they're going to protect their main channel.
They'll benefit 10 a little bit too, though, won't it? Because they won't by doing that they're going to keep?
Well, 10 have always been, their multi-channels is where they were the first and probably have more exclusive content than anyone else on there. Besides, they don't have a sport. The other two guys obviously play sport, which is what drives their numbers on their multi-channels. But 11's up there in the top 3 with 7 Mate and Go on all the buying demos.
That's a good story for 10 then, their performance.
Well, they've actually had a loss though year on year, but it still competes.
It's competitive though,
It's competitive in an audience, but they have had loss on those channels as well. But that's probably driven by them moving The Simpsons out of there, which was the big numbers, crazy as that seems. So,
with breakfast as well, of course, we've seen the new wake up, the morning schedule for 10 rejuvenated. How important is breakfast though for major advertisers, or is it all about prime time really?
it's important. Breakfast is important. It's got a role, but it's not probably the priority, obviously, for advertisers. It depends if you've got a sensitive message. So McDonald's, we have in there at breakfast to drive their breakfast menu. So, yes, it's an important time for them. But when you're doing a brand campaign, it's still about those mass numbers, so that's peak.
You talked a little bit about, you mentioned The Simpsons at 6 p.m. 10 of, we think they're going to be doing a game show next year.
Yes.
Maybe you know a bit more than me. But so how do you think, has that got a potential? I guess they really need to, I say fix because it is a bit broken, isn't it? They need to get a better audience flow because they don't get bad numbers till 6 p.m. with that.
The news at 5 is a good
news,
yeah.
So that's good. And if they can keep some of that audience viewing through to the project, bridge that half hour,
yeah, I
guess has a game show got a potential to do that?
I think so. For family viewing up against the news, it's a different choice, and I would have thought families would prefer to see something like that versus The Simpsons. That's probably more of my personal opinion, because kids would prefer to watch Simpsons, but I would have thought families, as viewing, a game show could work. It's something different.
Yeah.
It's obviously still not going to do the numbers anywhere near where the news is, but it could be a better lead-in for the project, I would have thought.
A huge year, hasn't it? It has been absolutely huge. Unfortunately, we've got to leave it there. Mel, thank you so much for coming on the program.
No problems. Thanks for having
Mel
me.
Hay from OMD. And, of course, James. Huge year.
Thank you, Bridie.
As
It's
always.
been fun.
Always
It'll be
is.
fun next year. We'll
Yeah,
do it again.
absolutely. We'll see you next year. Thank you so
you.
much, James Manning there from Media Week. That is all we have time for from the team here. Thanks for your company.